What's up, my dudes? What's happening? I've been very busy. I even have a new shoot coming up, and so I wanted to make this video because I'm going to be transferring half of what's in here, mainly just the flight controller and the FPV system, into Shendrones Squirt. I am cheap, so what I'm doing is I'm stealing the flight controller and the ESCs from here, and I'm putting it in here, and I got new motors and new propellers. So the reason why I'm rebuilding this is because I'm going to be doing a shoot with a dancer, and I'm trying to figure out if I can use this. Alright, let me show you the components that I've got. So I'm sure you can see this all here. Got in my little lunchbox here, my secret lunchbox and my magical lunchbox. So I've got new props here. These are the Gem Fan ducted props. This will be going on these motors. These are the Sing motors. These are 1408 4100 kV. I think some people have noted this before, but with the GoPro or the Osmo Action on here, you can't quite do the same things as a 5-inch. It's still going to be sluggish. You're not going to be able to do really poppy moves, and so everything's going to be slow and smooth, which is fine. But something that I'm looking for with dancing is to choreograph our movements, and I want to be able to really pop and pop up and do these quick movements with the dancer. So hopefully these motors will do what I wanted to do, give me that power. So yeah, let's start bringing this down. Okay, so now we have disassembled the Shendrones from its ducts. So I just want to do a test fit real quick. So something like this. Okay, so it's going to be something like this. I don't know if you guys can see it. Basically, air unit in the back here, flight controller in the front, and the camera up here. It fits perfectly, actually. So all I need to do, is drill the holes. So I could use these two existing standoffs and then just drill these two. Quick change. So what I figured out is it actually works better if you put the air unit sideways. There's plenty of space for the ducts, and I want to put the air unit sideways because I also want to be able to reach the SD card slot. And I know Andy, who is the creator of Shendrones, he had made a vertical mount, but in fact it all fits in without doing anything. You just have to put it sideways. Because see, the other thing is, I don't want to weigh this down with a bunch of extra weight. The less stuff you can put on here, the better, because I'm carrying an action camera, and less weight is always better, always. So now these can go up like this, and I won't have to do anything. I can do my vertical thing here like this. Maybe everybody should be mounting these things sideways. I mean, who said you can't mount it sideways? Nobody's mounting it sideways. I don't know why. So now I know that these two holes are going to work for me, so I'm going to drill out another two down here. Alright, so I have drilled out my two holes. I put in my screws in here, and let's see if I did this correct. Looks like I did a good job. And 20 by 20 is mounted right on there at the front, as you can see. Crossfire can be mounted anywhere, so I'm probably just going to mount it right on top of the air unit. I would recommend just using the DJI controller. In my case, this is all set up. I don't want to change anything in terms of the way it's all set up. So that's the primary reason why I'm going to leave it like this. But in a future build, I would probably just try to use the DJI controller purely just for weight savings. Okay, so I just mocked this up before taping everything down. These two antennas will be like this, which is probably the optimal position while flying vertically, and something like that. I mean, I could do that technically. Okay, so now we have all the motors wired up, and I just want to check my motor direction. And I'm kind of old school. I don't really like doing it in the software. I also have a Mac, so I don't really want to get into that BLHeli stuff. Anyways, this way it works every time. You don't have to know what's the latest firmware or whatever. You don't need a computer. Basically, you just turn it on and you just check motors. They should be going outwards because it's a reversed motor for what I'm doing here. All of them are spinning to the left, which is counterclockwise. So all I need to do is change this one, and we should be good to go. So I just want to swap one of these wires on these two opposing motors. Okay, let's just go over real quick how I have this wired up. This is for the people who have not built a DJI FPV system yet. Basically, what I'm running here is, this is a Mamba FC. I don't know exactly which one, but I'm pretty sure it's the F3. It's not the newest one, it's not an F4, it's not an F7, it's just a normal F3 flight controller. It has a 20x20 stack and a 25 amp ESC 4-in-1 on the bottom. And it is connected with this multi-pin cable here. It goes straight into the ESC. So basically you just have to wire your motors to the ESC and you're pretty much done with wiring. Now the tricky part comes where you have to plug in this DJI FPV system. So this system only works until 4S, so you want to make sure that if you're running the system straight into the power, then you're only going to be running 4S, which is right here. I don't think you can see it, but basically I have wired it straight in. It's back here. Maybe you can see it. I have Crossfire hooked up to the S-Bus port, obviously running CSRF. And then we have the telemetry, which are these two gray and white wires that come from the DJI FPV system. And this connects to a TX-RX communications channel onto the Betaflight board. And then you have to go into Betaflight and enable an MSP on one of the ports. So I just chose one, which is right here. Just make sure to read your manual according to your FC of which pads to connect to. So it should be a TX3, TX-RX3, for example, and then this one will be the opposite. So an RX from the DJI system will go to a TX on the flight controller, and then vice versa. And that's actually pretty much all there is to it. If it was an analog system, there would be a lot more going on. So let's just make sure everything is working Betaflight before I start putting on the ducts and all that stuff. Just want to make sure again that the motors are spinning in the correct direction and that there's nothing weird happening. All right, so I have tested everything in Betaflight, all the motors, the motor direction, everything, so everything should be fine. You should always use a smoke stopper if you can get your hands on one. I really need to get one. So don't do what I'm doing, but yeah, here are the motors. And you can kind of tell if there's any weird vibration stuff happening. It feels pretty good, everything seems fine. These motors are actually feeling very, very powerful. When I checked them in Betaflight, I went full throttle and it was way crazier than these ones here. So I'm hoping that it really is going to give me that pop. So I'm kind of excited. All we have now is to put the ducts on, put the motors on, and do a little test hover inside. All right, so we're going to do a quick test hover with this guy. Okay. I just want to show you that everything is working. Here's my little Osmo action up here. I'm probably gonna just turn it off for now. I'm just gonna do a test hover. One thing you want to make sure is when you mount the propellers that it clears. Don't do that when it's on. Basically, you want to make sure it clears, and even though the props are cut to the 75mm or whatever, each duct is going to be different. So you really want to make sure you file it down. You can use sandpaper. I just have this metal diamond thing from the Impulse RC stuff. So I just file it down a little bit, each one. Go one by one to the specific duct, so you can get a really tight tolerance, and then you should be good. So I'm gonna do test hover, and that'll be it. right, that's gonna be good for my test. I'm ready for the shoot. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.